Tonight, Theresa May faces a vote of no confidence in her government as the First Minister flies down to Westminster to push for a new referendum on Brexit.
I want to see the UK stay in the EU. I think that would be best for the whole UK, but I think for Scotland, even when Scotland's independent, that serves our interests best as well.
Also tonight, a 5 families outrage as their mother's killer tells them they have 7 days to clear out her home.
His benefit, I think, is to torture myself. I have no idea why. He's already taken half of my family away.
In sports, Scotland coach Gregor Townsend names 7 uncapped players in his squad for the Six Nations. And winter is coming. As the temperature begins to drop, Sean goes out in the search for the snow. Good evening, I'm Ben Phillip and this is the STV News at 6, live from Aberdeen. Good evening. Another day, another crunch Westminster vote. In exactly 1 hour, MPs will vote on whether they have confidence in Theresa May's government. Defeat could lead to a general election, but the indications are this evening that Mrs May will survive. The First Minister has flown to London to push for another EU referendum, and the Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn is under growing pressure to back a second poll. Well, let's cross straight to Westminster and our political editor, Bernard Ponsonby. Well, after the Prime Minister's deal fell to the biggest ever Commons defeat, what's next for Brexit? Our Holyrood editor Colin Mackay went to Edinburgh Airport to examine some of the options being considered by political leaders. Back to Westminster now for the latest. Bernard, a general election could happen if the government loses the no confidence vote in just under an hour. Will they? Where do we stand tonight with the Brexit impasse? Bernard at Westminster, thank you. The Brian McCandy murder trial has been told he suffered at least 15 blows to the head before he was found dead in his Aberdeenshire home. Police had originally thought he had died in an accident. Forensic pathologist James Grieve said the pensioner had severe head injuries. Stephen Sidebottom denies murder and robbery. Ross Govans reports. A Fife man who murdered his own mother has given the rest of his family a week to remove her belongings from her home. Despite the fact Ross Taggart killed his mum Carol, he is the executor of her will and is controlling her estate from his prison cell, as Ivana Holland now reports. Administrators searching for a buyer for the Stonywood paper mill in Aberdeen say they've had some early encouraging interest. 450 jobs hang in the balance after a previous deal fell through and the Arjo Wiggins site was placed in administration. The Scottish Government said it would do all it could to support the business and minimise the impact on the workforce. The Duchess of Rothesay has officially installed Professor George Boyne as Vice-Chancellor of the University of Aberdeen. Around 500 guests were at the ceremony in the Elphiston Hall. Camilla, who is the Chancellor of the university, also conferred an honorary degree on Eddie Stevenson for his help with the team which created the world's first clinical MRI scanner. Secondary pupils from across Aberdeen have been exploring future career paths through a science and technology event. Heroes of Tomorrow is a joint programme between TechFest and oil and gas company Equinor. It hopes to encourage more pupils into science and technology roles. Well, that takes us onto the sport with Stephanie Daly, who joins me in Aberdeen now. And it's Six Nations time again, Stephanie. And do Scotland have a chance this year?
It is indeed, Ben. And as you say, do Scotland have a chance? Well, they've got 19 injuries this year, so it's going to be difficult. But us Scots are everly optimistic. Indeed.
Well, it certainly felt colder today. To the weather now with Sean, who's at the Nevis Range for us this evening. And that's where we have to leave it for this Wednesday evening. I'll be back with the late news around 10:30 before Scotland Tonight. From everyone here, have a good evening. Bye-bye.